A very good morning to you and welcome to the news at 7. I am Iberi Ugonna. The headlines this morning: Governor's wife, Chief Mrs. Obiano, describes Anambra State as a blessed land. State Coordinator NYSC, Mr. Aremu, applauds Governor Obiano on projects at its permanent orientation site. INEC states readiness to check vote buying during elections. On the foreign scene, 400 homosexuals to undergo voluntary counseling and reformation in Ghana. And now details of the news. The wife of the governor, Chief Mrs. Ebelechukwu Obiano, has offset the over 1.6 million naira medical bills of Mrs. Ifeoma Nwaka, who was recently delivered of a quintuplet. Mrs. Nwaka was successfully delivered of 5 babies, 3 boys and 2 girls, after a successful in vitro fertilization, IVF, spearheaded by the Chief Medical Officer of Life International Hospital, Oka, Professor Joseph Ikechebelo. Correspondent Dan Ezigwe filed the report.
Presenting the check to the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Chief Mrs. Obiano disclosed that the gesture was a reaffirmation of the ideologies of our non-governmental organization, the Caring Family Enhancement Initiative, CAFE, which centers on giving a hand of hope to the poor. She described Anambra State as a blessed land, citing the recent world-class innovation success of the students of Regina Apache's Model School Onitsha as a true story of a successful Anambra State. Chief Mrs. Obiano called on the parents of the babies to double their efforts in order to ensure that the children get the best in their choosing life dreams, stressing that the excuse of limited resources should not guide their parental obligations to the babies.
I think the parents are kind of hooked up here. I understand the babies were had on the 8th of this month and they were discharged about a week ago, but they couldn't leave because they could not settle their bills. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, to ensure that something is done, by way of using through my NGO to sort out the bills so the babies and the mother can go home and the family will get to enjoy the newborns.
Earlier, the Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Professor Ikechebelo, who had given a 5% discount on the bills, said the intervention of the governor's wife tells a rare story of a mother who sacrificed for her children are priceless, adding that the new hospital remains committed to the best.
It's what Anambra State needs, giving us a world-class facility that can take care of responsibilities like this. Because these babies may have died somewhere else, but they've been managed successfully. Mother is safe, and the babies are safe. That's what we are looking at. Medical expertise at the best level.
The pediatrician in charge of the hospital and medical personnel who manned the delivery process of the babies, Dr. Kenneth Okeke, said the babies are doing well after spending 2 weeks in the neonatal intensive care unit of the hospital as a result of the pregnancy time frame, which lasted for approximately 37 premature weeks. He solicited external help for the mother and the babies, noting that their nutritional demands have increased and that dependence on breast milk was impossible, given that supplementary diets are needed as well. Also in the governor's wife entourage, where the Commissioner for Women, Children and Social Welfare, Lady Ndidi Mezue, whose ministry also presented baby wares, beverages, toiletries and other household items. The Transition Committee Chairman of Oka North Local Government Area, Honorable Lawrence Onwuzuka, who gave the sum of 100,000 naira, and the member representing Orumba South at the State House of Assembly, Prince Nikhil Gochukwu, who supported with the sum of 50,000 naira to relieve the burden from the family. Responding, Mrs. Nwaka, who could barely express her amazement, said she was initially shocked with the ultrasound revelations. She said the visit by Chief Mrs. Obiano capped the family's testimony story, given that she had always heard of the governor's wife's goodwill in the media without any forethought she will be a beneficiary someday.
It was very great. I thank God because if it is somebody's making, it cannot be like this. I thank God who made the whole thing possible. Yes. I am very happy to see her. At least this baby has made me to see her one-on-one, see her in person. I've been seeing her on television, hearing about her, the great things she has been doing, how wonderful she is. But today, I will see her in person.
The Anambra State Community and Social Development Agency, CSDA, has organized the one-day sensitization program for stakeholders from 3 local government areas in the Anambra North Senatorial District of the state. The 3 local government areas that attended the program that took place at Anambra East Council Hall, Aguleri, include Anambra East, Anambra West, IMLM. Correspondent Success Odemina reports that traditional rulers, president generals, women and youth leaders attended a sensitization that aimed at fighting poverty and bringing development closer to the various communities through a World Bank-assisted program. Her reports.
Chairman of the agency and traditional ruler of Inteje, Igwe Roland Odebo, who explained that the program is established by law to reach out to poor communities in the state and help them achieve some of their infrastructural challenges, pleaded on them to key into the project by paying only 10% of any project to be cited in their communities.
The governor has done everything to secure a position for Anambra by paying the matching grant of 50 million naira. What we are doing in effect is reaching small communities that are poor and trying to bring them in line with the rich ones, at least infrastructurally, through the World Bank agency, to help them to achieve certain things that they ordinarily wouldn't achieve.
Speaking, the General Manager, Community and Social Development Agency, CSDA, Mr. Chudi Mojeku, said the World Bank-assisted program focuses on building and rebuilding social and natural resources infrastructure service at the community level, listing physical and social infrastructure, micro-projects, among others, as part of the development each interested community could benefit from. He called on interested communities to set up a community development plan, CDP, that would assist them to come up with a work plan of what they want to benefit from the project.
To fight poverty.
In their separate speeches, the traditional ruler of Anam, Igwe Sa Ekwalo, and his Umumbo counterpart, Igwe Simeon Ikechukwu, as well as Transition Committee Chairman for Anambra East and West, Mr. Pius Ifadi, and Honorable Tony Collins Mwabunwanne, respectively stressed the need for togetherness in order to map out projects to be assisted by the World Bank and the need to harness the opportunity given to them by the state government. They also commended Governor Willie Obiano for paying the counterpart fund for community to assess the project. Other stakeholders, including the President General of Inoma Community in Anambra West Council area, Mr. Patrick Ubaja, and Mrs. Frances Mbamalu from Msube Community in Anambra East Council area, while appreciating the state governor and the World Bank for their gesture, assured their full support for the overall success of the project in the area.
We are one of the rural area and the typical area in Anambra State that can benefit from this project. And we are also ready to assist in order to achieve this project.
From Aguleri in Anambra East local government area, it's been Success Odemina reporting for ABS News.
The State Coordinator, National Youth Service Corps, Mr. Kehinde Aremu, has underscored the importance of the scheme towards nation building. Mr. Aremu gave the emphasis while discussing the topic, the role of NYSC in nations building, during an ABS television phone-in program, Good Morning Anambra. Correspondent Oluebube Ude has details.
Mr. Kehinde said that house numbering program in the country, which was difficult at the initial stage, was accomplished with the help of the core members. He said that the Community Development Services CDS program in the scheme was to foster development at the community level. Looking into unemployment rate in the country, Mr. Kehinde noted that the NYSC since 2011 has initiated the establishment of entrepreneurship and skill acquisition with the Bank of Industry and Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as giving up to 60 NYSC official training to help train the core members and empower them to establish their own businesses. He went further to assure the safety of the core members and setting up of database, which he said is to track down fraudsters who have been repeating their services in different parts of the country.
For you to have any credible election, it was our late president, dear president, President Yaradua, after a long research, I said, look, if we are going to have any credible election in this country, core members must be involved because they are dispassionate, they are educated, they are all over the country, and they have no stake. And we have discharged that, they have discharged that creditably since their involvement.
Mr. Kainde thanked Governor Willie Obiano for the ongoing construction of an ultra-modern NYSC permanent orientation camp in the state and the approval of the new office complex at the site.
In the spirit of Salah celebration, some charitable group used the occasion to put smiles on the faces of the less privileged in the society. Evident is the donation of some food items, among other things, to Divine Mercy Compassion Orphanage, Amobia. Correspondent Valentine Mbadua was there and now reports.
Some of the items donated by the charitable club include 2 bags of gari, a bag of rice, cartons of biscuits and noodles, 2 bags of yams, toiletries, beverages, amongst others. Speaking shortly after the presentation, the mayor of the club, Professor Tony Nwokoye, thanked the management of the orphanage for their service to humanity, describing the gesture as the club's cardinal objective.
So this is supposed to be Easter visit, but because of something happening, we couldn't make it. That's why we have come here to see these children and the home, and then present these things which we believe will be used to take care of these children.
Also speaking, the club publicity secretary and a director in the Ministry of Diaspora Affairs, Emma Umokana, said that the aim of the club is to improve the less privileged standard of living through charity. He called on the government and non-governmental groups through the Ministry of Children and Women Affairs to always reach out to the less privileged to enable them have sense of belonging.
Share our joys and sorrows, and we go out and reach out to those who are less privileged.
Responding, the administrative head of the orphanage, Reverend Sister Chizaram Ugu, represented by her assistant, Reverend Sister Chinyere Obuago, thanked the clubs for their gesture and prayed God to reward them abundantly.
At least with their support, we can be able to take good and appropriate care of these children. So on behalf of the home, we are very much grateful that they are here to visit us, and we appreciate their awesome donation to the home.
Official presentation and handing over of the items to the management of the orphanage by the club formed the highlights of the visit. From Divine Mercy Compassion Orphanage Home, Amobia, Valentine Mbadua reporting for ABS News.
And moving on to our national scene, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned that it will no longer fold its arms while politicians and political parties engage in vote buying during elections. National Commissioner and Chairperson, Legal Services and Complaints Committee, Mrs. May Abamuche Mbu, gave the warning at a training program for legal officers of the Commission and police officers on the prosecution of electoral offences. The training, which was held in Lagos, was jointly hosted by INEC and the European Centre for Electoral Support, (ECSAS). Abamuche Mbu said such acts undermine the efforts of the Commission in conducting successful elections. According to her, there could not have been any better time to prevent, curtail, and manage various electoral offences than now, especially with the outcome of the Ekiti gubernatorial election that was widely condemned as having witnessed open buying of votes. The INEC National Commissioner noted that the prosecution of electoral offences is a duty enjoined upon the Commission by virtue of the Section 150, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, while police officers are empowered to arrest and investigate offenders by Section 4 of the Police Act, Cap P19 LFN. From the business sector, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said that the federal government will extend its different loan projects to more low and middle entrepreneurs in the country. Vice President said this during a town hall meeting in Lagos State to felicitate on the Eid al-Kabir celebrations. He said other things they have done a government enterprise and empowerment program, a microcredit scheme for market women and others, as well as trader money, which is ongoing for petty traders, and another one that is called Jeep. Osinbajo said because majority of the workers were at a very low level, doing little things, the government must first of all focus on them so that the poorest would be able to do better. And moving on to the world of entertainment, the Ugandan MP and pop star Bobby Wine has been charged with treason in a civilian court shortly after a military court freed him. Bobby Wine, whose real name is Robert Kaigulanyi, was immediately rearrested after being released. His lawyer said he has been assaulted in detention, which the military and President Yoweri Museveni deny. He was detained along with 30 others ahead of last week's by-election in the northwestern town of Arua. The arrests have raised tension across the country and sparked protest. After being freed by the General Court, Martial Bobby Wine was told by his lawyer that he was under arrest again, and he was put into a police vehicle with his wife to be taken to the Chief Magistrate's Court. And moving on to the foreign scene, at least 400 homosexuals have registered with the National Coalition for Proper Human Sexual Rights and Family to undergo voluntary counseling and reformation in Ghana. The CEO of the coalition, Moses Fong Amunin, while making this known at the first regional media consultative forum, said the counseling session will be held at an undisclosed venue in the country. The theme for the forum is exploring the myths surrounding the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights. For Amunin said these 400 men and women voluntarily surrendered themselves and registered to undergo counseling after a sexual evangelism program recently. He said the coalition would set up a holistic sexual therapy unit that would comprise psychiatrists, psychologists, medical doctors, religious leaders, and experts in traditional medicine at the Kobu Teaching Hospital to deal with victims of homosexuality. The duo, who have 19 major championship titles between them, will face off in the 18-hole event at Shadow Creek Golf Course on either 23 or 24 November. The contest, which coincides with Thanksgiving weekend in the U.S., will be screened on pay-per-view. Mickelson, who has attracted almost 100,000 followers in less than 24 hours on Twitter, replied to Woods saying, "I bet you think this is the easiest $9 million you will ever make." The possibility of the duel between the former Ryder Cup teammates has been mooted repeatedly down the years. Woods, a 14-time major winner, has won over £88 million prize money on the PGA Tour in comparison to Mickelson's near £68 million total. And that's it on ABS Television News at 7. But remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging onto our website, www.absradiotv.com. Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. And just before we go this morning, a quick reminder of our major stories. Governor's wife, Chief Mrs. Obiano, describes Anambra State as a blessed land. Chief Mrs. Obiano gave the description when presenting a check for over 1.5 million naira for quintuplet workers' hospital bills. State Coordinator NYSC, Mr. Aremu, applauds Governor Obiano on projects at its permanent orientation site. INEC states readiness to check vote buying during elections, says such acts undermines efforts of the Commission. Now, the foreign scene, 400 homosexuals to undergo voluntary counseling and reformation in Ghana. And that's the size of our package this morning. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ebere Ugonna. Good morning. Anambra continues.